friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about these little palettes from iHeartRevolution. These are the Heartbreakers palettes. There are several different color versions. These were the only two that were in stock when I went to purchase them. I really wanted to get the blue one and the green one as well. I ended up snagging the red palette, which is the Courage palette, and the purple one, which is called Mystical. I purchased mine from Ulta's website, and these were priced at $7 US a piece. Now, the iHeartRevolution, Makeup Revolution brand has been very hit or miss with eyeshadows for me. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're very lackluster. It really just depends. It just depends on the release. It depends on the palette. And I had a lot of luck with the iHeartRevolution little donut palettes. I was shocked by how good the formula of those eyeshadows were. So that's part of the reason why I ordered these. And frankly, as soon as pictures of these popped up online, even before they released, I couldn't help but think of my beloved ColourPop 9-pan palettes. So I did want to compare these Heartbreaker palettes to some of the 9-pans from ColourPop. We will be doing that in this video. Before we get into the swatches, I do want to give you some information about these palettes. There are a lot of not intended for eye area shades in these two palettes. I can't speak for the other colors. I'm assuming that the red and purple are going to be the ones that have the most eye safety warnings. Probably pink, potentially orange as well, because it's those red dyes that trigger that eye safety warning. So the green and blue are probably good. I don't know. I don't have them. But there are a ton of not intended for eye area shades in these little palettes, so let's make sure we really touch on that first. Let's start off with the Mystical palette. These little palettes are about the size of a Post-it, so they are quite a bit smaller than the ColourPop palettes. Just to give you a bit of a visual here, these are pretty small. These are a plastic outer packaging. They don't feel super heavy duty. They also have a locking clasp closure, so they're not magnetic. As you can see, there's obviously no mirror because this is a little clear plastic on the lid. Inside, we have all 9 shades here. There are no shade names inside next to the pans, and there are no shade names at all. These are just numbered 1, 2, 3, all the way through 9. And there are these really cute little heart-shaped pans. I really like this feature. There are only 3 matte shades in this palette. They're the 3 down the center column here. The remaining 6 shadows are all shimmers. Some are more shimmery than others, but we'll get to that when we get to the swatches. Now, I want to point out which shades have the not intended for eye area warning, because it's all of them except 2. The only 2 shades that don't carry the eye safety warning are shade number 2, this one, and shade number 7, this one. So these are the only 2 that don't have the eye safety warning. All of the other shades in this palette are a pressed pigment and not intended for the eye area. The writing back here is super teeny tiny, but this is what I'm referring to right here. See how it's got the little picture of the eye here and it's crossed out? That means not for the eye area. Every single shade here that's marked with an asterisk is not intended for the eye area, and as you can see, it's all but 2. So that's pretty bad. I know that I've talked at length about eye safety warnings on this channel, so if you're hearing this for the millionth time, I do apologize, but there are always new viewers and I always want to go over these eye safety warnings in depth just to make sure everybody's on the same page here. So these pressed pigment warnings, these are most certainly due to certain red pigments that are added into red, pink, purple, and orange shadows. They can cause staining, and some people also have an allergic reaction that can be pretty severe. A rash, hives, itching, that kind of thing. So I highly recommend any shade that has this pressed pigment not for eye area warning. Highly recommend that you patch test these to make sure that you don't have a sensitivity to them. I highly recommend patch testing on the inside of your arm. You have some nice thin delicate skin that is at least somewhat similar to the delicate skin around your eyes. Not a perfect stand-in, but it's better than nothing. You should take that shadow that has the pigment warning, apply it to the skin here, let it sit on your skin, wipe it off, see if you have any staining, if you have any irritation, pigmentation, any sort of skin reaction. If you do have those problems, definitely don't want to use that shadow in your eye area. You don't want to risk an allergic reaction in your eye area. It's not fun, it's not good, it's not cute. Health over eyeshadow, please, everyone. Okay, so that's my piece about eye safety. Now we're gonna take a close-up look at the Courage palette. Same packaging, same layout here. The only difference is we are getting 4 matte shades instead of 3. So this shade number 1 right here is a matte, and then the 3 down the center are mattes. Then we have 3 shimmers over here, and then 2 shimmers here. Once again, so many warnings, so many eye safety warnings. This time we have 3 shades without pigment warnings. So 2, 3, and 9 are good to go. All the rest of these pink, purple, red, orange shades, these all have that pigment warning. So please, please patch test them. Just so you can see here again is that don't use around the eyeballs symbol. And here's the little graphic with all those many asterisks on it. Oh boy. Now that we've gone over the details, let's take a look at the swatches. First, I'm going to show you some finger and brush swatches of each one of these palettes. Just like always, those swatches will be done on the inside of my arm with no primer down first, just the shadow straight onto my skin. The finger swatches will be pictured on top. Then each corresponding brush swatch will be directly below. For my brush swatches, I'll use my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I'll clean the brush off in between each shade using my Vera Monocolor switch. That way there's no shadow transfer between swatches. So let's take a look at these Heartbreakers palettes swatched now. Here's the Mystical palette, just a reminder that the finger swatches are on top and then the brush swatches are below. And these brush swatches, they're not terrible, but they do feel just very sheer, very lackluster to me. And overall, I was just not super impressed by the pigmentation in this palette. I will say that the Courage palette, at least the shimmers were better. You can see that a lot of the mattes still aren't quite stacking up, but the shimmers in this palette were much more impressive. And overall, I just had an easier time with this Courage palette. Now that you've seen those palettes swatched on their own, let's do a little swatch comparison with their most similar ColourPop counterparts. First up is the Mystical palette and the It's My Pleasure palette. You can already start to see a little bit of the differences here. They become a lot more apparent in swatch when we see like this very gray matte shade in the Mystical palette. It's My Pleasure is warmer. It's also across the board a lot more pigmented. The shimmers in particular are more impressive. We're seeing more dynamic finishes with the duochromes. So close, but not really. Now let's take a look at I Heart Revolution's Courage palette versus ColourPop's Main Squeeze palette. I think Courage and Main Squeeze look more similar in the pans than they do in swatch. Courage just has a little bit more variation, whereas Main Squeeze really has that monochromatic, very one shade, almost one tone type of look. And Courage has a little bit of pink, a little bit of yellow. So these two are more different in my opinion. I also want to point out the difference in not eye safe shades. The Mystical palette, the purple Heartbreaker palette, has 7 not safe for eyes shades. It's My Pleasure from ColourPop has 0 not safe for eyes shades. The Courage palette has 6 not safe for eyes, where Main Squeeze only has 3 eye safety warnings. I think it's pretty obvious from the video swatches that you just saw that the ColourPop palettes are a lot more consistent, a lot more pigmented. Overall, the quality of the ColourPop palettes is significantly better than these little I Heart Revolution palettes. I know you're probably thinking, but Amanda, these Heartbreakers palettes are so much less expensive. Actually, they're not. The fact is, the It's My Pleasure or Main Squeeze palettes from ColourPop will set you back $12, whereas these little Mystical and Courage palettes are only $7 a piece, but you're getting significantly less product in these little Heartbreakers palettes than you are from the ColourPop 9 pans. So It's My Pleasure and Main Squeeze are $12. You're getting 9 pans that are 1 gram each. So that's $12 for 9 grams of product. Now the Heartbreakers palettes have 9 pans that are only 0.55 grams each, which means you're paying $7 for 4.95 grams of product. And when you add in things like the quality of the shadows, the quality of the packaging, the fact that the ColourPop ones come with a mirror, these aren't really as great of a value as they might appear to be. When you see that 1-digit price tag, sometimes it kind of tricks the brain into thinking that this is an extremely good deal, but you really need to look at the amount of actual product that you're getting, especially maybe when we're just in that everyday consumer kind of clicking online mindset. We don't necessarily think about things like price per gram or quality of packaging, and maybe you don't necessarily care about that, which is fine, but it is kind of my job to point out those things, so I am wearing the Mystical palette on my eyes today. I'm gonna do a separate video where I show you some looks with these little Heartbreakers palettes, and I gotta say, they're better than I thought they would be, but they're definitely not gonna be my favorites. For example, I think my eye look turned out pretty cute. It was a ton of work to build it up to this much opacity, but I can already see where my shadow is wearing off, and I haven't even been wearing this eye look very long. Maybe 2 hours. So they're not the worst palettes I've ever used. They definitely were better than I thought they were gonna be, but definitely not better than the ColourPop palettes. I know that probably seems like a super biased opinion coming from me because I love ColourPop palettes so much, but I love them for a reason because they're really, really good. I would say these would be great for younger makeup lovers, like maybe all those teens and tweens out there that are just starting to get interested in makeup and not really trying to drop a lot of money on a palette. But with all these eye safety warnings, I don't know if I'd even be comfortable recommending it to that demographic. It just, they're okay. They're better than I thought they'd be, but they're not that great, and they just have way too many not eye safe shades. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these palettes. Are you interested in these? Have you tried any of them? Especially if you've tried the other colors that I wasn't able to get my hands on. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I know that these kind of palettes can be really hit or miss, so maybe one of them is just an absolute smash success and I just didn't get that one. Definitely let me know your thoughts, and I will work on a tutorial video using both of these palettes for the near future, just in case you did pick these up, or if you want to follow along with your ColourPop palettes, you can do that too. I'm very much in the mindset of using what we have right now, so keep an eye out for that tutorial video soon. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Is that what they're called? No, yes it is. Huh? Huh? First, I want to give you some information. Femformation. I actually love that. That's going to be my new feminism channel. That's actually a really good idea. What is it that Jenna and Julian always say? Band name. Dibs on the band name. Femformation. That's too good. Somebody already has that. And as you can clearly see, get it? Clearly? Because it's clear? Okay. I'm sorry, I've got so many mom jokes. Just so many pigment warnings on here. It's not even, Freaking eye safety warnings, why? Why? So annoying. We want pretty eyeballs and healthy eyeballs, okay? That's what we want. And then each corresponding, I don't even know what word that was supposed to be. Heart revolution. There's no hope for this video. Oh. Okay. I'm fine. I'm gonna pull it together now, I promise. I talk to my palettes anyway, but after 30 days, 28 days, however many days, it seems a lot more normal than it used to. Anyway, I digress. I did math, aren't you proud? Aww. Get it? Wow, 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 wow. Just out here doing our best. Okay. Wash your hands, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. I love your face. Bye.